Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating, the 6,000-year-old secret Taiwan is hiding. I am just so incredibly excited to share this with you today because, well, we're going to take a place you probably think you know pretty well, and we're going to look at it through a completely different ancient lens. This isn't about what happened last year or even last century. We are talking about a story that literally reshapes how we understand human exploration. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. When you're scrolling through your newsfeed today, certain names just pop up constantly, right? And Taiwan is definitely, for sure, one of them. We hear about it endlessly, mostly when we're talking about microchip manufacturing or global semiconductor supply chains or high-stakes geopolitical diplomacy. It's pretty much always framed as this modern, industrialized flashpoint. But what actually lies beneath all that geopolitical news we're constantly bombarded with? What is hiding right behind those modern headlines? I mean, way, way before the very first semiconductor was ever fabricated. Well, today we're going to look past the present day and uncover this incredibly epic narrative of human adventure that's just been quietly waiting in the background. We are peeling back that modern industrial veneer to reveal a vibrant, thriving ancient world. Look, most of us naturally assume Taiwan is just this modern political flashpoint, right? It gets talked about heavily in terms of current events and global tensions. But we are going to set all of that completely aside today. Neutrally and objectively, we're shifting our focus to its true identity, an ancient cradle of human migration. We're essentially trading modern politics for ancient warrior history. And honestly, this just brilliantly illustrates how a single geographic location can hold multiple vastly different legacies depending on, how far back you're willing to look. Because before the modern era, Taiwan was home to distinct, deeply thriving indigenous tribes. We're talking tight-knit societies of skilled hunters, fierce warriors, and expert farmers who were cultivating crops like millet and taro. They were master artisans too, carving these intricate jade tools and ornaments. This deeply rooted, dynamic culture is the true, ancient beating heart of the island, and it stands in stunning contrast to the high-tech, modern narrative we're so used to hearing today. Now, to truly wrap our heads around this legacy, we have to travel back a staggering 6,000 years. Just pause and imagine the sheer scale of that amount of time. Deep within Taiwan's lush, mist-covered mountain ranges, a profound shift was happening around 4000 BCE. And this wasn't just, a quiet few centuries of history. No, this was an ancient epoch where the foundations for one of the absolute greatest human expansions on Earth were being laid. Right around this time, these ancient coastal communities achieved a monumental technological breakthrough. They invented the outrigger canoe. By attaching lateral support floats to their main hulls, they created these vessels that were incredibly, unbelievably stable in rough, open ocean waters. And driven by, well, maybe it was population pressures, or a changing climate, or honestly, just an unyielding spirit of exploration, they looked out at that vast horizon and decided to see exactly what was out there. Which brings us to this mind-blowing concept of Taiwan as the mothership. Instead of thinking of it as a modern, contested territory, think of it as the definitive historical launchpad for the ancient Austronesian people. Now, if you aren't familiar with that term, the Austronesians are this massive ethno-linguistic group that encompasses nearly 400 million people today. We are talking about incredibly diverse cultures that share undeniable linguistic roots and ancestral traditions. Taiwan is the mothership. It is the absolute point of origin where this massive language family and culture first incubated before embarking on just a massive human adventure. Thousands of years ago, this island served as the starting line for an epic ancient outward push. It wasn't just a simple migration. It was literally the birth of a maritime mastery that would permanently alter the human map. Now, what's really interesting about this map is how we can clearly visualize that breathtaking outward expansion. Picture the story those glowing arrows are telling you, radiating outward directly from Taiwan and pushing into vast, totally unknown waters. These ancient people didn't just stay put in those mist-covered mountains. They evolved into unparalleled navigators. And remember, they did all of this thousands of years before the magnetic compass was even a thought. They read the night sky using complex celestial navigation. They understood ocean swells, literally feeling the bounce of waves against their canoe hulls to detect distant, entirely unseen islands. They even tracked the flight patterns of seabirds to guide them to land. It was this massive human adventure that relied entirely on a profound, deeply intimate connection with nature and the sea. Let's move to this and see how it builds spatially across the globe. Because the oceanic journey of these ancient navigators is almost unbelievable when you actually map the whole thing out. Step 1 begins right there in Taiwan, right at the starting block. But step 2, That pushes them out across the sheer, unforgiving vastness of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, the immense danger of crossing open water and hand-carved wooden vessels, it really cannot be overstated. It required unimaginable bravery and incredible skill. And then, step 3 reaches these mind-boggling endpoints. They sailed against prevailing currents, stretching all the way west to Madagascar, right off the coast of Africa, and expanding all the way east, discovering the incredibly remote islands of Hawaii. It's a spatial expansion that absolutely rivals any of the most famous explorations in recorded human history.
Seriously, let's just pause for a second and let the jaw-dropping magnitude of this adventure fully sink in. From Taiwan, across the entire Pacific Ocean, reaching Madagascar, and all the way to Hawaii, they connected vastly distant parts of the globe. And it all started from one single island. And the coolest part? The proof is actually still alive today in the languages spoken across all these regions. Anthropologists and linguists have found that words for essential, everyday things, like the word mata for eye, or specific terms for bird and canoe, are strikingly similar whether you're talking to indigenous communities in Taiwan, villagers in Madagascar, or native Hawaiians. That is an incredible linguistic thread tying nearly half the globe straight back to those original brave voyagers from Taiwan.
So the crucial point is that uncovering this massive, historic expansion fundamentally reframes our entire understanding of the island's legacy. By shifting our perspective from modern politics to ancient warrior history, we rescue a narrative of incredible human endurance, skill, and exploration. And modern linguistic archaeology totally backs this up. Experts who chart the vast family tree of Austronesian languages have found that the greatest diversity of these ancient root languages exists in just one place. You guessed it, Taiwan. It is literally the trunk of a massive global family tree. The source material reminds us that this forgotten history is absolutely essential to understanding the full, breathtaking picture of human migration. It changes the anthropological map of the world, and it deeply honors the monumental origins of the Austronesian people.
Which leaves us with a really powerful final thought to consider today. How does knowing this 6,000-year-old warrior legacy change how you view Taiwan today? The next time you hear this island mentioned in a flashy headline or see it on a map of modern global supply chains, I challenge you to reflect on this ancient, forgotten reality, because it permanently transforms our modern assumptions. It's a profound reminder that behind every modern political map lies a deep, rich history of human adventure and breathtaking bravery just waiting to be explored. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.